We turn in today into St. Mark, chapter 5. I don't know how much I'm going to talk out of the Bible, because the Lord gave me quite a few things as I was studying today. And I got to thinking about the doctor and how you go to the doctor and they'll check you for things and they'll tell you that you got something that your family had and you're going to have it. And then there's things that's handed down through generations, through families, that there's things need to be broke off of. And, you know, if you don't know how the Spirit operates, you don't know how that works according to the Word of God. You know, when you see this stuff going on out here in the world with little children and all that, that's a part of it. Things are handed down through generations. And, you know, we probably each have that in our family somewhere along the way. But there comes a point in time where you got to say, stop, that's enough. You know, and I've been in that position. And, you know, when you know something's going on and it's not right, you know, in the family, or something's going on that you are concerned about, then you need to be praying about it and either that, taking some action against it. You know, there's so much going on in the time that we're in today. And it's been going on for years. But going back to the doctor, you know, when they tell you that you've got something your family had and you're going to have it the rest of your life, you know, we sort of put a lot of stock in that. Because, you know, a doctor's supposed to know what they're talking about. Tests supposed to be confirm these things. But I've seen tests being taken, and before the test got through, I've seen the thing change before the results ever came back. And so that's what we need to be looking at today. Not so much as what is handed down to me through my family, but it's what can I escape out of that or get out of that, because I have another family, the family of God. I have another Father, which is Jesus Christ. You know, He is the doctor, the great physician. And He's the doctor that I like to go to, because His examinations don't take long and you get good results. You know, He knows everything about us, everything we're doing, so He knows what He can fix. The doctor don't. You know, they take a test and they say, well, you got this, you got that, but they're guessing half the time. But the Lord, He already knows what we got. He knows what we have. And when we come to the place, and that time when we meet that place where the Lord has got something stored up for us, you know, all them little things we've been putting up, might one day, it's just like you put money in the bank. When you store up things in the Lord, you're storing up things just like a bank. And one day, you can draw out. And when you draw out, you may draw out what you need. And when it may come any time, it may come sometime you're not expecting it, but the Lord is going to move. And when I was talking about St. Mark here, he said Jesus had come to the shore over there, and there was a man dwelling in the tombs, and, you know, they couldn't bind him with chains and all that. And the Bible said that often tried to bind him, put him in fetters and chains, he'd just break out. And he was always night and day there in the mountain and in the tombs, crying, cutting himself in stones. And when he saw Jesus far off, he ran and worshipped Him and cried with a loud voice, saying, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, come out of that man, thou unclean spirit. But see, when Jesus went up to there, the man cried out and said, what have I to do with thee, thou Son of the Most High God? He knew and recognized who Jesus was. And when we learn to recognize that He is there to do what He's going to do in our midst, then He will do it. Because He said, He asked him, what is thy name? And he said, Legion. for we are many. He besought him how much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was, mountains and a herd of swine, and he sent them into the swine. But the first part was what I was wanting to look at. When Jesus came and the man recognized who he was. Many people in that day knew who Jesus was. They'd never seen him before. How did they know? It was Jesus. Because there was no other one like him. Not a one that had ever come before spoke. Because even many of them said, never a man spake like this man. And that's how they knew he was different. But the things he said upset them. Especially the people in the synagogues and the people back in that day, the religious sect. He upset their apple cart because of the things that he said. They didn't like him. That's why they tried to put him to death. Just like they do now. They don't want anything now of God's people. I was telling Mike and them that, I seen the thing where the church had voted in a traditional way to keep going, and the people didn't like it. And I would hate to think that I'm in a church singing in a choir, and I don't want them to stand up for what's right. I mean, does a Christian walk that kind of walk? Many things are taught in this hour, but there's a lot of things that's not going to get by when the Lord comes back. So we've got to be careful what we listen to and what we take up with and what we embrace. Because if the Word of God comes against it, then we say we're going to go for it, then guess what? You're going against the Word of God. And one day you'll stand in judgment for that, but people think that, God's a loving God and He loves everybody. He does, but He don't love the sin in everybody. He loves the person, but not the sin. Now you give up the sin, and you'll have Him in your life. But until you do that, you'll never receive Him in your life. But I had another little thought run through my head too, and I'm going back to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. And it's a little bit about the thing today that we see out when we go out in the store, driving along, whatever. And this is the thing that I look at and I pay close attention to, and even seen on TV the other day, and I look quickly and I judge quickly, but there's no way of knowing from behind. But I want to read in verse 6, chapter 11, just there, and drop down into verse 14. But the Lord's been dealing with me on this, and I got to read it. He said, if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn, but if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. That means she should have something on her head. And a man ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image of the glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. So more or less, it's all right. You can cut your hair and do all that, but you shouldn't have it shaved off. And one example I'm going to give you, because when the Lord created Adam and Eve, the characteristics He gave them are totally different. That's how you can distinguish a man from a woman. The characteristics of a man, the characteristics of a woman. And then in 14 he says, doth not nature itself teach you that a man have long hair? It's a shame unto him. But if a woman have long hair, it is glory to her, for her hair is giving her for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom in the churches of God. So that means that if the man, wants her to have shorter hair, that's all right. But, I pulled up behind people at red lights and everything, and I'm thinking, man, that woman has beautiful hair, and they turn around and got a beard and a mustache, and I'm thinking, okay. And then you go in the store and you get behind the one with the buggy, and their head's all shaved off and everything. And you think, well, that's a man, because they dress like a man, look like a man, act like a man. And it's a woman. So see, in the hour we're living, you can't distinguish between the two if you're behind them now. Now, if you're in front of them, you can pretty much. But many times we can't distinguish between the two. Because the Lord gave us certain characteristics that we should follow. And we do that. See, women don't wear beards. See, that's one thing they really don't do. They can't. So we have to follow what was here in this, but we have to use wisdom in it too. Now he said, down here that in one place that it was him talking, but then I hear he said it was the Lord talking. But he said, we have no such customs, neither the churches of God. If the man seemed to be contentious with the woman for that. I know I always liked for first wife to have longer hair, and she curled it up, and you know, it looked good, but I didn't really like it. I liked it straight, you know, and hanging down because I got so used to it through the years. And when she curled it up, it just looked different. I got used to it, but I didn't like it as good. But you know, that's each of us. We got different tastes, and so you know, I just she liked it, so I said, okay, that's fine. But I got used to her having the long hair, and I just always thought the long. It wasn't real long. It wasn't just below her shoulder, not even below the shoulder blades, but you know, I was just used to that, and that's what I like. But you know, that's the thing. But you know, when we come before the Lord and we take His word and we go forth, and like I say, if you take man's word for it, you're going to have a man's answer. If you take the Lord's word for it, you're going to have the Lord's answer. So we have to follow in here whatever God shows us to do. See, the Bible says when we change, when we come to Him, we're a new creature in Him. All things become new. All things become new. Whatever we did in the past, it's all gone. Everything that we did then is completely new. And that's what people notice the difference in us is because we are completely new. We're not the same person we used to be. We don't go to them same places we used to go. We don't do those same things we used to do. Now, this is kind of confusing because the way I started out didn't wind up the way it ended. But this is how the Lord gave it to me, so I have to give it to you just like He gave it to me. You know, because I'm not preaching long tonight. I'm just getting out what He told me. But I know that through this, what He said, I know there's some things that He wanted. And so I didn't do anything today much. When I got up, the Lord told me what to do, and I didn't do much. I typed some songs in, did a few things. I washed a load of clothes, and that's about it. You know, I made good use of the recliner that Scotty and Erica gave me today, and found out I could sit there and type songs and relax, and it's pretty good. So I did that. I even unplugged the phone. You know, I walked up my cell phone in case somebody needed me. And because I didn't want to be disturbed, because every time you start doing something, that phone's going to ring, and most of the time it's somebody wanting to sell you something. Yeah. And I didn't want nobody to call me today trying to sell me something. I didn't want the phone to ring for me to have to answer it to get up, because I didn't want to break, you know, my concentration on what the Lord had begun to deal with me on and stuff. But as He began to show me that, and I thought about how that the doctor had told me the same thing, you know, that you're going to be on this the rest of your life. And I thought about that a little bit. And see, these things come to your mind. And then when things change, you realize that the change was because of what the Lord did. Even though the doctor we have was real good. And we loved him and still do. And he was real good in things that he did. And he said he was a healer, but he was a different kind of healer. His was medicine. You know, where other people that serve God, which he's a Christian man, and two, I'm sure he probably prays for people too. But see, when you know this Word of God and you serve God, you know, and you're trying to get a prayer through, you're going to have to know how to get there, how to do it. And this is where you find the answer right here in this. And when we find that, and the Bible says we find a pearl of great price, and we sell everything else we are looking for, everything else we own, and we get this right here. So you sell out to the world and say yes to this, and this is where it comes from. That's why the people don't like the Bible in this hour, because there's truth in here. All they want is the stuff in the Word. So I don't know if I hope I got through to somebody today on some of these things, our short time we have. You know, you may turn the TV off on me sometimes. I hope not, because I have to preach what the Lord gives me and stuff. So I'm sure if we get any cards and letters, I hope they're good. But we appreciate the Lord today and what He's doing. And we're going to close it now as we go off the air. And ask the Lord just to help each one today. out there, if you have needs in your life today, just call on Him and He'll meet that need today.